Good morning, everybody, and of course, welcome back to another episode of X Talking Ish with your boy X. And unfortunately, no Ish this morning, but he will be back, of course, on Tuesday for Week 12 recap. Of course, as always, if you are on Facebook, please make sure you like and share this broadcast. If you are on a Facebook page, go ahead and hit that like button as well. If you are on YouTube, go ahead and hit that red subscribe button and as well hit that notification bell so you can be notified for shows like this one in the future. I can't get my words out this morning apparently. And as well on Periscope, you can check us out on X and Twitter at X Talking Ish and as well at X underscore Williams 81. I'm going to go ahead and retweet that right now. Bada bing, bada boom. So you can, of course, check this out. You can go ahead and check this out on all of our social media streaming platforms. With that being said, of course, it's week 12 pregame show. Yes, I was here on Thursday morning to talk about, of course, the Turkey Day games and also the Black Friday game, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people probably forgot about because it really was not one of those pretty games. So, of course, we'll recap all of that on Tuesday. Ooh, excuse me, when we spin the block back on week 12 and for being honest with everybody, this is it. This is the nitty and gritty part of the season where good teams are going to start separating themselves, and we're going to start seeing who is real and who is phony. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Of course, we have a full slate of football here on Sunday, as well as, of course, a damn good Sunday night football game. I think the Chargers are going to show up a little more than they usually do on primetime games. But that Chargers Raven game Sunday night, definitely everybody should be on the lookout on that for later on tonight. I think it could surprise people more than they expect. And of course, Monday Night Football wrapping up with the Bears and Vikings might not be a pretty game there, but could be a very surprising competitive game on Sunday. I'm sorry, on Monday night for that primetime game. So let's go ahead and get right into the stick of things. Let's get right into the Steelers Bengals matchup. Um, Now, obviously, if the Bengals had Joe Burrow, this would probably be a different matchup of the way we would be viewing uh, this matchup between interdivision rivals. They have not played the Bengals previous. Oh, my apologies. They played them. Oh, my apologies again. They have not played the Bengals. My apologies. Yes. So they were supposed to play them twice within a 5 week span. So this week and then again for week 16. But of course, without Joe Burrow, this is going to be a very interesting matchup because the Steelers have an opportunity to probably sweep the Bengals. It really just all, of course, all depends on what's the game plan for the Bengals and their offense and how they're going to not commit everything to Jake Browning, the backup quarterback for the Bengals, and not allow him to have to be the guy that makes the Bengals win this game. They're going to have to rely on Joe Mixon a lot. We'll have to rely on short passing game. But for the Bengals, if I mean, let's just be honest, we saw them a shell of themselves the first couple weeks of the season without Joe Burrow playing. And then also once he finally got back and he wasn't, um, I'm sorry, when he was playing, he wasn't 100%. So we saw him get back to where he should be around week 6. Once he got back, he was playing well. It seemed like the team was rallying behind Joe Burrow after he got hurt and now out for the season. It just seems like the Bengals, the air is out of the balloon, and it's time for them to get ready for next season. They might not say that. They might not, of course, um, let the fan base know that, and that's not something as a professional team that you want to have to personally admit. But just a part of the game when it comes to without your franchise quarterback, it's going to be very difficult to win games out here in the NFL. So keep it very short and sweet. I expect the Steelers to take care of business as an away favorite. Of course, for the big or for sorry for the Steelers, it really comes down to can you score more than 20 points? with the firing of Matt Canada. It'll be interesting to see what the new offense looks like. We talked about that last Tuesday on the show here with Adrian Lunsford. So it'll be interesting to see how the Steelers look moving forward, see if they can put up more points than just 20 points every game. Let's go ahead and move on to two teams that can definitely score more than 20 points, which is surprising because coming into this season, a lot of people out there did not expect the Texans to be where they're at this moment. And I think that's perfectly okay for the Houston Texans and how they feel about that because they want to surprise you. They want you to think that they are not as good as they are. And Texans really are as good as the product that they're putting on out there. This is an interesting matchup because in week 12, this really could determine the division. This really could determine who wins this division, especially being here in Houston. This is a big game for the Houston Texans to try to get this win. So let me double check and verify to see because I feel like they haven't played the Jags yet, and it looks like they have. They played the Jags. I don't remember. Yes, the reason why I don't remember because it was 3 weeks into the season. Yes, it was week 3. Texans, Jags. Texans beat up on the Jags by 20. Woo! Yeah, definitely forgot about that game. By 20 in Jacksonville. I think that's when we started raising a little bit of questions and concerns for the Jacksonville Jaguars in general, losing to a team like the Texans. Now that the Texans are at home, surprisingly, the Jags are a 1.5-point road favorite, which, again, the way that they have been playing and the loss previously to the Texans at home, you would kind of think this man might be a little bit more favored towards the Texans, even though the Texans are 6-4. But overall, I expect this to be a quarterback duel. Trevor Lawrence and C.J. Stroud, I expect both of them to come out guns a-blazing. All pun intended when it comes to both of those rocket arms that they have. I'll talk about, of course, my prize picks later on, but I expect both C.J. Stroud and Trevor Lawrence to have a really, really big game. Watch out for, of course, guys like either Nico Collins or Tank Dell on a receiving end to be able to haul in a lot of these catches and yak yards from C.J. Stroud. But at the moment, as you can see, Ish and I do have the Texans winning this game. If the Texans are able to sweep the Jaguars, I mean, that's definitely probably one of the bigger surprises of this season, mainly because the Jacksonville Jaguars are coming off of course, a division a division title from last year, and they were expecting to be able to build off of that and to continue on being good within their own right, and again try to rebuild what they had there at one point in time. So be interesting to see how that all plays out. Of course, we'll follow up on this game on Tuesday. Buccaneers and Colts. Very interesting game here because I just really didn't know how to go about this game. As you can see, of course, our guy Ish is in here today, and he gives me his picks. He decided to go with the Buccaneers, which is, a little surprising because I actually was thinking about going with the Buccaneers as well, too. Because sometimes, I mean, these two teams are the same. The next two teams I'm about to talk about, with Saints and Vikings, Saints and Falcons are the same. And there's another 2 or 3 other teams out here in the NFL where I call them my box of chocolate teams. I just never know what I'm going to get with these teams, and I never know what I'm going to get with this Colts team because at one point in time they look like they could be competing for an AFC South division title, and then next week they look like they shouldn't even be in the NFL. I really wanted to go with the Buccaneers. I feel like with the Colts being at home, Gardner Minshew, I'm expecting him to come out performing well, throwing the ball all over the field. I'm expecting the Colts to win this game, but I'm really not for certain on this game at all because this game really could go either way. So shout out to Ish for making this a split decision here because to me, this looks like a pick'em game, and this game easily could be in the 30s for both teams. So if you're looking at the over-under, I would definitely look into maybe taking that over for this game instead of trying to figure out who wins money line-wise. All right, let's go ahead and move on to, like I spoke about earlier, the Saints and Falcons, another one of those never know what you're going to get from these teams. And another reason why this game is split amongst Ish and I. Um, the Falcons with Desmond Ritter has only lost one career game, and that was just a couple weeks ago. He probably should have already lost multiple games, but hey, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. So for the Falcons, they are starting back Desmond Ritter after playing musical chairs with Taylor Heineke. Don't really understand what's going on with that position there in Atlanta, but hey, Desmond Ritter is back. So again, if you look at the numbers, most likely Desmond Ritter probably should win another home game with the Falcons, but not necessarily the case when it comes to this week. The Falcons are, of course, coming into this game being 4-6. This is a very important divisional game, mainly for the Saints. Don't get me wrong, obviously it is important for the Falcons as well too, but I don't think too many people expected the Falcons to compete for the division title this year. I've always looked at this division as the Saints to lose, and right now they definitely are losing it because they should not be 5-5. They should be a lot better than 5-5, but they are at the moment at the top of the division. Now, again, if things change, I'm sorry, things can change with a loss today against the Falcons, and they could be looking on the bottom looking up towards the Falcons. And of course, depending on how this Buccaneers game turned out as well too, they could also maybe be looking up towards the Buccaneers. I doubt it just due to points and standings. But overall, you just don't want to put yourself in position where you're making it harder on yourself moving on in the second half of the season. You want to be able to get games out of the way you're supposed to and get prepared for the playoffs. And if you want anybody in the NFC to take you seriously, I'm talking about the Saints organization. You got to put away teams like the Atlanta Falcons away and not have teams like them be the reason why you're not making the playoffs. And you'll understand that by week 16, 17, 18. Let's go ahead and move on to the Patriots and the Giants. Well, how the mighty have fallen for both of these teams. Two teams, just 15 years ago, gave us some of the best Super Bowls ever we've seen, and these two teams are now part of the toilet bowl. Wow, like I said, both of these organizations are one of those organizations where they are very prideful for doing the right things and being able to bring a championship to the city. The Giants have had their ups and downs. The Patriots, again, before Tom Brady and Belichick, they had a lot more downs than they did ups. So for the Patriots, they are in unfamiliar territory, but they are in very familiar territory because this is not new to them. It's new for Bob Kraft because it's not something that he's been a part of. But before Robert Kraft took over for the Patriots, they used to be they used to be trash, and they used to be garbage. And for them to be able to get back to some type of relevancy, they're going to have to probably move on and rip off those band-aids when it comes to letting go of Bill Belichick, and might have to revamp this whole roster on both sides of the ball because it is just not good enough. I mean, let's just be honest. It seems that Tom Brady was able to fix a lot of holes that was on the Patriots side for a very, very long time. He took him out of the equation, and those holes are very, very obvious what's out there, what the Patriots can and cannot do. So now that you're in this position where the Patriots are 2-8 at this point, and the Giants are 3-8. For the Patriots, they're gonna have to a lot of serious conversation when it comes to what are we going to do. Because if I'm Robert Kraft, it's time to move. My personal opinion, it's time to move on from Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick is a great coach. He's probably even as a better person, but when it comes to the business of football, he's not getting the job done, and it might be time to go ahead and move on from the greatness of Bill Belichick and this Patriots era of Tom Brady and Belichick. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the Panthers and the Titans. Now, if I'm being honest with you guys, this is definitely a trap game for the Titans. Now, Panthers record-wise don't look solid, and there's a lot of reasons for that, a lot of holes on that team, but they play relatively hard. I don't think they play as hard as teams like the Cardinals, but they play hard for the most part. The Titans, they're getting into that region of box of chocolates teams that you just don't know what you're going to get from them. Yes, again, by looking at this matchup, you assume that the Titans are going this game, but my opinion, this looks like a trap game for the Tennessee Titans to lose. Now, if you do recall a couple weeks ago, the Panthers were able to get their first win of the season against the Houston Texans in a matchup of young quarterbacks with Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. I did predict that the Texans were going to lose that game mainly because of the quote unquote spotlight on the quarterback matchup, especially the week prior. CJ Stroud had a really good game. Came into that game, Bryce Young actually outdueled CJ Stroud, but over the first half of the season, a lot of people, of course, just by the eye test, thinking that CJ Stroud will be the better quarterback than Bryce Young. I don't want to make that proclamation just yet because I've seen time and time again guys that look better as rookies, but overall their career, the person that was a better rookie doesn't end up being a better career quarterback or whatever type of position player that person is. So let's just pump our brakes and let's just enjoy seeing both of these guys develop because that's what it's about. It's about developing talent, especially at that quarterback position. So if CJ Stroud can get, I'm sorry, Bryce Young can get some better players in there, and depending on what happens with this coaching staff, could be Frank Wright moving forward, might be somebody else. A lot of rumblings when it comes to might be moving on from Frank Wright. So we'll see what happens with Bryce Young and that whole organization with the Panthers. But I think today, if they want to come into Nashville and steal one, this will be the day to do it. Again, with the Panthers being able to win their first game against the AFC South team, I don't see why they can't do it again and beat another AFC South team. And I think they find a way to steal this game in Nashville. Looks like Ish has the Titans, but I think he's just looking at just straight chalk when it comes to just teams and matchups. But I'm going to go with the upset on that one. Let's go ahead and follow up with the Rams and the Cardinals, like I spoke about before, a team that plays really, really hard, just can't get the job done sometimes. I'm not looking and I'm not expecting the Rams to make a second half run to make the playoffs or anything like that, but I do like the way that they have been able to compete and come out of the depths of starting out slow. They are 4-6 right now, and with a win today, could definitely be 5-6. And who knows? Maybe you could maybe you could have a winning record. Just the way that this rest of the schedule is set up for them, I just find it hard to believe that they can make the playoffs. You play the Browns week next week. You also play the Ravens week after that, the Commanders, the Saints, the Giants, and the 49ers. Again, some of these games seem very winnable. Some of these games seem like you most likely won't win this game. So at this moment at 4-6, I'm looking at the Rams as in they control their own destiny. I mean, it's not over, but this isn't a Super Bowl Rams team that we've seen in the past. So for myself, just looking at the team, I'm thinking, what are they trying to get out of this team for this year? Because my opinion, I think that Aaron Donald is going to finish his career with another team. I don't think he retires as a Ram. I think he wants one more Super Bowl. But also, it wouldn't surprise me at all because he has been in the talks about retirement now. Who knows? Maybe that was leverage to get more money for the last contract that he just signed. But he has talked about retiring, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if he does walk away from after this year. Guys like Aaron Donald, guys like a Jason Kelsey, some of these guys, they take a lot of hits throughout the year, and once you finally get at least one Super Bowl ring, it's one of those crowning achievements where you've done your job for 20 something years, from Pee Wee League to high school to college to pros, and if you're finally able to at least get one, you can walk away a happy man. There's some people that play 14, 15, 16, 17 years and are not able to touch one, let alone even get to a Super Bowl as well. So count your blessings. Aaron Donald wouldn't surprise me at all, again, if he decides to wrap up his career or decide to run it back one more time with a team, maybe like that, again, that needs a defensive lineman really, really bad. Maybe like the and also want to bring some championship culture, maybe like the Dallas Cowboys, Houston Texans. Throwing it out there. I don't know. We'll see how that all plays out. All right, Browns and Broncos. Um, this would have been a lot better of a matchup, obviously, if Deshaun Watson was healthy. I would have loved to see this matchup with a healthy Deshaun Watson. We obviously don't get that, and that's perfectly fine. But what we are witnessing at the moment is maybe the resurgence of the Denver Broncos in the second half of the season. And I was going back and forth with myself on this game because I really, really, really wanted to pick the Broncos, obviously, without Deshaun Watson playing for the Browns. But I do like this Browns defense very, very much to where the defense itself can keep them in games they're not supposed to be in. And I think that this is one of those games where that can happen. Now, don't get me wrong, and I've stated this multiple times here on the show. Russell is cooking. Russell is not out here playing bad at all. If anything, he's exceeding expectations. It's the team as a whole that's probably could have a better record. Besides being 5-5, they probably could have a winning record. But hey, let the dominoes lie where they lie, and we are where we're at. And the Broncos definitely, this is a winnable game at home, especially with that defense playing better. Because surprisingly, it was the defense that's holding back this Broncos team now. And if the Broncos can play solid defense and just solid offense, they definitely should be able to win this game here at home. But I think it really comes down to this Browns defense. If they're able to limit big plays from the Broncos, and also turn the ball over into points, I think that will help tremendously for the Browns to win this game. Now, this isn't something that they're going to have to do just for this game. This is something they're going to have to do moving forward the rest of the season, because just with the lack of production offensively for the Browns, for me, my opinion, I gotta have the Browns defense step up every game for them to have a chance, in the most part, for every game. Let's get to the comment section. Fractuana says 32 is a good age for him to retire. I can't imagine Aaron in another jersey. Hey, this is very true, but hey, we saw J.J. Watt in the Cardinals jersey. We've seen Emmitt Smith in the Cardinals jersey. We've seen a lot of people in different jerseys that would say, hey, what the hell is going on here? So somebody gets thrown out a big enough check, there's some people that move on very, very quickly. Practice One also says Broncos by 10 today. Yeah, I mean, again, it's one of those pick'ems. I think we got at least 3 or 4 games that are pick'ems that can easily go either way. So, as always, we'll see how that goes on that one. AFC West divisional rivalry game, aka the Super Bowl for the Raiders. Chiefs Raiders, of course. Chiefs are almost a 10-point road favorite, and that just kind of shows how lopsided this matchup is. Now, I expect the Raiders to take all of this as disrespect, especially with Antonio Pierce being the head coach, and I expect the Raiders to play hard and probably even cover the spread. I don't know if they get beat by over 10, especially with the lack of offensive plays from the Chiefs. But I do expect, and Ish expects as well, the Chiefs to take care of business. I will say, if the Raiders are able to pull off this upset win, because that's what it is, this will be tremendous for Antonio Pierce and his resume as an interim head coach to be able to hopefully try to keep that job in Vegas for himself and rally the troops for next year moving forward. But it's really not too much to talk about. It's the Chiefs. They're beating the Raiders. It's the same, just on a different day. That's all this is. Let's go ahead and move on. We'll talk about that game more, like I said, on Tuesday. Bills and Eagles. This should be probably one of the better games of the day. Probably could be the game of the day, but I know what happens when I say that. Anytime I think the game of the day is going to be the game of the day, it's because it's another completely random ass game. That's the game of the day. It's probably going to be like the Rams and Cardinals. Like, that's going to be the game of the day. But Bills and Eagles, I might have had second thoughts on this game if the Bills were playing better like they have in the last couple of years, coming into the end of November, early December. I might have given the Bills an opportunity to upset them. I was talking about this game last couple of days with our guy Adrian, and he feels though that this will be one of those games that because the Eagles spent so much energy over the last week winning their game against the Chiefs, that he feels like this is going to be one of those, not a letdown game, but because you just have so much going for you, because you have the Bills this week, you have my apologies, the 49ers next week, you have the Cowboys week after that, you have the Seahawks week after that. I've seen Eagles fans talk about this is the gauntlet of the 5 games that you're going through. And this, if we're being honest, I mean, this is a great, I think this is the best time. If I'm an Eagles fan, this is the best time to go through this type of run because it prepared you for the postseason. The last 2 games of the regular season that you have is against the Cardinals and the Giants. And let's be honest, those should be gimmies. But these next couple of games, again, you already beat the Chiefs last week. Play the Bills, play the 49ers next week, play the Cowboys week after that, play the Seahawks week after that. If you can get through that stint 4-1, 5-0, there should be no questions on who's the best team in the NFC. But what a lot of people obviously really want to see is not this game, it's next week's game. It's against the 49ers. That's what I think a lot of people really want to see, that matchup against the Eagles, to see who's really real in the NFC. Of course, a lot of 49er fans feel as though that if they didn't lose Brock Purdy in the NFC Championship game, that NFC Championship game should have been theirs. So, again, regular season games really don't mean anything because of you could beat a team in the regular season twice and you end up playing them in the postseason. If you don't beat them then it doesn't mean anything. But this is a really, really, really good measuring stick for the Eagles for the next 5 games to see how good they are for this season. I think they are as good as they were last year. It doesn't matter how people are upset with them with this brotherly shove or anything else that they go through throughout the season. They've been able to play together and come together as a team on both sides of the ball, and they are about business. And realistically, the only team that's really that's their roadblock is the 49ers. For me, the Cowboys, they're in their own way. Again, regular season for me and the Cowboys don't mean shit. We've seen them already do what they do when it comes to show up in the regular season, don't show up in the postseason. So until they change our minds, until they change what they do, the Cowboys, it's the Eagles' division to lose. Let's get to the comment section. Fraction 1 was talking about, of course, the Raiders game on this previous topic that we were speaking on. He said that I want to see if Antonio can light a fire under the Raiders to beat this team. They haven't been able to beat them since my homeboy came into the picture. He also says if they beat the Bills, do you have the Eagles as the best team in the league? I'll circle back on that in a second. Christine Robichaux says Eagles are also in the Kelly Greens today. And of course, if you know a little something about the Kelly Greens, then you know. Don't get me wrong, they're nice. They're nice. They're nice. I'm gonna leave it alone. Okay, they're nice. Fresh Wanda says, I take my comment back, didn't know they had the 49ers and Cowboys left. Yeah, yes. So yeah. But I'll follow back on that comment though. I like the comment that you asked. Because again, I think we're holding the Bills up at a higher regard and putting them up on pedestals that they don't deserve just yet. And I think we continue kind of like with the quarterbacks. I see a lot with people on social media talk about how why we keep throwing guys out like Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, and a couple other guys. Why we keep thinking that these guys are going to be the next elite quarterback when they keep failing. And hey, I understand. I'm not saying that people out there are wrong because at the end of the day, we see with our eyes, right? We can throw all the stats out there you want to, but at the end of the day, the eye test never fails. And for this Eagles team, they're supposed to beat the Bills, right? I'm just looking at it like, who are the Bills? You're at home for the Eagles. You're at home. It's not like you're playing in Buffalo. Yes, again, the Bills have a good team, but they get in their own way. they have too much talent on that offensive side of the ball to not be able to put up 30 points every game. And reality for them, they're just going to get in their own way and find a way to mess up a good thing. So for the Eagles, whenever they do win this game, they'll just chalk this up as business as usual. On to the next one. I don't really look at it as a measuring stick type of game for the Eagles. If anything, this is for the Bills to try to get back right. All right, let's go ahead and finish it off for Sunday Night Football for tonight. Ravens versus Chargers. Like I spoke about earlier before, I'm hoping this is a really good Sunday Night Football game. I think that it can be. I think it could be an even better game if Brandon Staley wasn't the head coach. But hey, that's another conversation for another day. Hopefully, a new coach will come in sooner rather than later and not waste Justin Herbert's talent. But again, that's not my decision-making things to go on that. But make it very short and sweet. I don't really want to hold any y'all up from enjoying y'all's pregame before the slate of Sunday football starts back up again. But again, I'll keep it sweet. It's the Ravens. Ravens, this is a part of you taking care of business. This is a part of Lamar Jackson being this good in November, December football. This is a part of just being a better overall team than your opposing team. You run the ball, you control the clock, don't make silly plays. Now, the big, of course, the big thing to look out for is now with Mark Andrews not being there, and again, the word on the street is he might not be out for the rest of the season. He might actually be out just for a couple of weeks, so he could be back, which is, of course, great for Raven Nation. But it's going to be very interesting to see how Lamar Jackson looks without his safety blanket, Mark Andrews. Again, I think Lamar will be fine. In my opinion, I think he'll be fine. But Mark Andrews is a very, very big target, and he has been for Lamar since he's been there. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens and how he's able to distribute the ball and what offensive play calling that they, of course, implement for Lamar in this offense. Because without Mark Andrews, of course, Isaiah Likely will need to step up, and then also the running game as a whole is going to have to continue to keep doing their thing with Gus Edwards and, of course, Lamar back there. And also OBJ. OBJ is going to have to continue to step up, which he has been doing, and making sure that these receivers on all sides, for like so OBJ and also Zay Flowers, everybody from Rashad Bateman, everybody's going to have to be involved in making sure that they are able to help out Lamar, because again, Mark Andrews, I think, is a very, very is a lot bigger of a loss than people expect it will be. Fresh One says Brandon Staley's last Sunday night game as head coach. Yeah, let's hope so. Also, Fresh One says new version of the Cowboys without the chips. Of course, he was talking about the Bills on that one. Yeah, the Bills are a whole thing when it comes to being able to get to the Super Bowl 4 times in a row in the 90s, can't win one. Continue to keep on trying to put themselves in upper echelon of the AFC teams, but just you can't get right. Maybe you just can't do what the other AFC teams do, and you just, I don't know. Like, is it the curse of Buffalo? Is it just something to do with this fan base that is just so passionate that's their L, is that because y'all are passionate, y'all don't get to have any dubs? Like, I don't know what it is. I'm trying to figure out the same thing. I feel bad for Buffalo, but see how that all plays out in the off season, especially with Stephon Diggs and that contract. He's not supposed to go anywhere, but I've seen contracts for a very, very long time. I've seen them be able to get ripped up and create a new one. So just because somebody has 3, 4, 5, 6 years on the deal, that don't mean shit. So I'll leave it at that. All right, before we wrap up out of here for today, I just want to throw out my prize picks for my most likely losing slip, because apparently nobody likes me on prize picks. I need to go back to DraftKings and FanDuel. I need to go back to a state that actually allows legal betting, but that's here nor there. As always, my prize pick promo code is PR-JVA61PN. If you use that code, you will be able to get 25 free promo dollars to be able to play with. So go ahead and use that code and play with you with some free money and maybe win you a couple of dollars. And you could say you was able to win that here on XTalknIsh. All right, my slip for today. I have a four-legger, four players on this one. And I have CJ Stroud throwing more than 1.5 passing touchdowns. I have David Njoku going over 39.5 receiving yards. I also have Dameon Pierce going over 7.5 rushing attempts. Also, watch out for Jaylen Warren going over 49.5 rushing yards over there in Pittsburgh. I think this is a very solid lineup. If you look at some of these plays on here, CJ Stroud has thrown over 2 touchdowns the last 5 games of the season. David Njoku should be projected to at least haul in at least 50-plus yards for today. Dameon Pierce has toted the ball at least 11 times in the last 5 games. I'm expecting for him to at least rush the ball at least 8 times. If he doesn't run the ball 8 times, that's a problem in Houston. And Jaylen Warren has been exceptional for the Steelers, rushing over 100 yards last 3 games. Again, I'm expecting for him to at least get 50 on the Bengals. If he doesn't, then I guess the Bengals defense just decided to step up today. I don't know what it is, but this is a decent little slip here. Go ahead and tell those picks. Throw a $5 in there, get you $50 from me. And also go ahead and, like I said, use that prospect promo code. It'll allow you to get 25 free dollars, and you can win you some money right there on prospects. With that being said, as always, thank y'all once again for tuning in to XTalknIsh. We'll see y'all on Tuesday so we can recap week 12 of the NFL season. I already know there's going to be some craziness goes on. I already know, of course, all of the teams that we picked will not come true, but that's why we go ahead and sit and watch for this crazy Sunday slate of football, and we'll go from there. And for the wrestling folks, CM Punk is back. I don't think too many people really even know who CM Punk is. If I'll be honest with you, fresh one. I know who he is, but if it ain't The Rock or Stone Cold Steve Austin or the Attitude Era, that's where you miss me at. But anywho, as always, we'll see y'all once again here on Tuesday.